Okay, good morning, everyone. We're ready to start. Do the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda is David needs to be sworn into office.
Solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and that you will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of County Commissioner in Hubbard County, State of Minnesota, to the best of your judgment and ability.
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the agenda approval. Is there any change, Jeff?
I do not specifically have the letter of support or the resolution that Mary needs for the Minnesota Housing Finance approval, so we will probably have to pull that unless she sends that to me sometime during the course of the meeting and I can get it to you.
Okay. And where is that on the agenda? That's-
It's under Administrator.
Oh, okay, that's way at the end. So
Way at
that's-
the end,
We got
so-
time.
Chair, I have a question on that then. Wasn't the grant due at the end of January? How would that be handled?
The grant hasn't opened yet, so there'll be a 3-week window. It's very
Okay.
likely that
You're
we'll be
right.
able to
Yeah,
handle it
that's right.
the first week of February and be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public input. Anybody wants to say anything? Nope. Okay, we'll close public input. Next comes consent agenda. Is there any item that someone would like to pull or any questions on it?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, county employee recognition. Okay, we have two in the sheriff's department. One is D. Pearson's. Office administrator is recognized for 15 years of service on January 2nd. And not here. And the next is Andrew Weaver, dispatcher jailer, is recognized for 10 years of service on January 4th. And congratulations to them if they're listening. Okay. And now we have the public hearing on the, Name?
Mr. Chair, that's at 9:30, so let's skip forward into the agenda.
oh, that's a long time off, yeah, okay. Well, then that would be Jed's turn.
Good morning. A few things on the agenda for you today. First one, we will start with review and approve bid for project SAP 029-609-025. This is our reclamation and paving job that goes from Besida west over to the Clearwater County line. So we opened bids last week, and we're pleased with the bids. We were within 30,000 of our engineer's estimate, which, I mean, we're estimating a little bit higher than what we've seen in the past, but we know that pricing is up right now too. So we're comfortable with where it came in. We did receive the 5 bids as listed on your bid sheet. Low being Hawkinson Construction Company out of Grand Rapids at $2,113,213.32. Very, very close between bids 1 and 2. We abstracted the bids, everything looks good, and that would be our recommendation, is to go with the low bid. We checked with MnDOT. This is not a contractor that we're familiar with working. I mean, they're a large contractor, do this all the time, but we don't typically see them in our area. So we checked with MnDOT, very, very good reviews on it, so that would be our recommendation for Hawkinson.
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah, and mine is just to review my knowledge of the subject. Reclamation means you peel up the old road and
Yeah, we grind it up.
Grind it up?
So they have a reclaimer come through and it mixes the existing blacktop, the bituminous, with a little bit of your underlying aggregate base. And so you grind it up so it's somewhat consistent, and then you pave right on top of that. They compact that down and you pave on it. And then it's turned out that it's fantastic base for these roads. We're doing quite a bit of it. This road is, do you recall how old the pavement was? 20,
Yeah, 94, I believe.
yeah, so
94 or so.
28, yeah. So that's a pretty long life for a road. And when we get to some of these roads, there's only, 3 inches of pavement out there. Never got back and put a structural overlay on it, so we can't take part of that and mill it up for use in the recycled product we want it in the base, ground up in this reclamation. Gives us a gravel equivalency that we're comfortable with for the rating of the road that we're looking for. So yeah, we couldn't take anything off, so we grind it all back up in, and you'll mix that with probably, 1.5 to 2 inches of base material also. So that's the depth of your reclamation. Back it down and pave on top of it. Turns out great.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody approved?
Very good. Number 2, review and approve resolution for prioritized bridge replacement list. It should have been in your packet. There are 5 bridges that are listed on there. I believe last year we only had 3, so with the reviews that were performed last year, along with a new rating, they're now using this LPI, and I believe that was consistent last year as well. It's the local planning index, and as soon as that hits below 60, then you're eligible for the funding that we're looking for, whether it's federal funding or bridge bonding or whatever. So we had 2 bridges pop onto the list now, and this is our list that we are looking at possibly doing in the next 5 years. Fairwood Drive, the first one listed there on Beltane, that's the one that's been in the works for a while. We're trying to somehow get that one out for bids again, after it was rejected last year. CASA 13 is currently being designed and finished up with Houston Engineering, and that one will be, that's slated to be constructed this year. Straight River Township is the 3rd one. We'll be working with them in helping them select a consultant to move forward as that bridge. It sounds like there's funding there, so we need to move forward, get that thing ready for them, and they're ready to go with it too, because they do have a $20,000 match on that. But then the 2 that were added to the bottom there, Necktie River and Cabacona on CASA 45 and 38, we'll move forward with that too, as we're being told that the state and the feds are gonna keep throwing money at these bridges. So we want them on the shelf, ready to go take advantage of that funding. So they show up on our list, so we'll move forward with selecting consultants to get those 2 designed as well. So this resolution is a, formality each year that we list out the bridges that we're looking at doing in the next 5 years, and this is that resolution.
Is there an average age where you replace a bridge, or does it just depend on traffic?
It depends on the condition of the bridge. Yep, once it is deteriorated to the point that it's eligible for funding, we want to move that through as quick as possible. Some of them, I mean, as they're still higher rated, you get them in the works, and so when that funding is available, then you're able to jump at it.
How many bridges do we have in Hubbard County?
It's right around, with the townships included, right around 60. Is that so?
70,
70 total?
yeah.
Are there many of the small metal bridges, like I can think of one that was in Schoolcraft Township that got replaced a few years ago that had a very low rating. Like I say, are there many of these old metal bridges left in the county?
Yeah, the bridge from the 70s, a steel beam span, that's
Yeah.
one of the last ones, the one at Straight River.
Those are going by the wayside, and then, the old timber bridges too are popping up on the list too, and we probably got, what do we have left of those? Handful of timber bridges?
Yeah, 3 of them actually here, so, and about a dozen, maybe 10.
Thank
Well,
you.
With 60 bridges, how often are they inspected?
Well, they go in, they have different cycles. Depends on how new the bridge is, then you can kind of spread them out a little bit. And it depends on what kind of bridge. If it's a box culvert, Jeff is our level 2 inspector too. Maybe you can
Yeah,
touch on that.
it depends again on the structure. Typically, it's I would say on average, every other year. Some of the precast structures like box culverts and reinforced concrete pipe, they can be extended out to a maximum of every 4 years. And it depends a little bit on the local circumstance too. If you've got structure you're watching as far as the channel goes, or any channel migration or erosion that you might be seeing, yeah, you can always increase that to annually or whatever. But typically not more than 4 years, and most of them are every other year on average. So
Yeah, when you get a lower rated one, it could be every year that they take a look at them.
Yeah, once they start getting pretty old then, yeah, okay. Okay, got a motion?
Also move.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
All right, number 3, review and approve final payment for security card access at Public Works. This is another item that we've been working on for quite a while. It was combined with the security cameras out there and then the key fobs, and we finally have a fully functioning system out there, which it's turned out to be really nice. The reason that this invoice comes before you is this is in addition to the amount that was originally approved, in that as they went through the install, we realized there was some things that we didn't have in the bid that were gonna be required for this. And, you know, one of the big ones you see is the second one on there for $4,000. That's the door handles. You know, all the door handles that we had where you turn them and it pops the lock open. Well, that doesn't work when you're looking for the keyed, or the card access on it. You need those locked at all times, so that the only way you can get them open is to pull through the deal that the key card unlocks. And so all of those throughout the building had to be replaced, and then you got the installation of the door handles on there. So extra 50 key cards that were required. Anyway, this was in addition to the original one, so it needed to come to you guys for approval. We're happy with the system. Everything is working as planned, so.
Jed, the key cards that we as commissioners use in this building, will they work in your building?
I don't believe so. It's a different manufacturer. We went with the small little fobs that go right on your keychain. Just because with all the maintenance guys, they're not running around with these on their neck as a safety hazard. It's right on their keychain and whatnot, and I don't believe so. We could look at that, but if you needed access to our building, we can still get you in there, so.
I was just thinking that, instead of coming through the side door, I'll have to come through the main door.
You have to come through the front, yep.
I just wait for Chip when we have a park board meeting.
Yeah, he'll have to man the door, you know, and you could, if he's there, it's not that big of a deal to prop it open, so he'll get you guys in there, so.
He gets it. Okay, any more discussion? Any motion? Dave?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion then? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope.
Very good, thank you. And last that we've got on here is to set the date for the public hearing for the proposed ADA and Title VI policies that were discussed at the last work session.
When did you want it?
I'm open. You know, if we have this, I would like to see this adopted, so we'll have the public hearing, and then we'll have to have a board meeting following that. But if we could get it adopted prior to May, would be really good with the federal money that we have coming for this year.
I think with publication of public hearing, if we set it for the second meeting, the 21st of February, we could have the public hearing in the morning at 9:30, and then have the vote to approve the two policies at the same meeting.
That would be fantastic, yeah.
That would be the earliest that allows us to get the notifications out.
I will so move.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed? All right.
Very good. Just some information, you know, with this letting that we had last week, kind of looking for some favorable lettings this week as well. Just a reminder that we've got those 3 projects that are being let this week, the City of Park Rapids on Fair Avenue, and then our 2 LRIPs for the Arago Township and Henrietta Township. Those will be on Friday, so City on Wednesday and 2 LRIPs on Friday, so look for that to come.
Okay,
thank you.
Jed. All right, Chip, you're up next.
Good morning.
Morning.
The first item on the agenda is review and approve a quote for tree seedling production for the spring of 2024. We received one quote from PRT Inc. out of, well, it says Howell, Michigan. I think the original headquarters is in Dryden, Canada. Quote is for a total of $27,935.50 for roughly 128,000 conservation grade containerized seedlings. We are asking that you waive the informality of this. The quote was received late due to the winter storm that was up at that time. Their mail trucks were delayed. So he did email us a quote, so we got that on time. But the original paper copy didn't come until a week later, so we're just asking that you waive that informality.
Is this the same company you used before?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the only company where you're going to get conservation grade containerized seedlings. It's the only one that's available.
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, that passes.
Next item on the agenda is a resolution to classify certain tax forfeited lands as non-conservation. This is basically the start of the land sale process. We've got 12 parcels that are listed. Some of these are parcels that forfeited this past fall, and we're just going to throw those in the mix with the land sale as we normally do. Couple others are parcels that, in taking a look at some of the parcels that we have, that we've decided that we would offer these up for sale. Some of them are very lucrative, hopefully lucrative parcels. A couple of lakeshore parcels, and so we're trying to get some of those back on the tax rolls and developed. So first step is basically classifying them as non-conservation, which is what this resolution does.
Yeah, I never knew that one on Boulder was owned by the county, but yeah, that'll be a high value property there.
Yeah, I think the estimated, current estimated market value on that is almost $750,000, so.
So what's the percent distribution? I think, 30% goes to the Parks Board?
20%
20%?
would go to parks,
Okay,
yes.
what's the other distributions on it?
30% would go to forest development,
Okay,
and then the county general fund gets, of the remaining 50%, you would get 40% to the county general fund, 40% to the school districts, and 20% would go to the townships.
and once that 20% goes to the Parks Board, is it open to however the Parks Board wants to use it?
Yes,
Good, so if we wanted money for Deep Lake Park, it
yes,
can
it
go there.
would be available for Deep Lake Park.
Excellent. Okay, any further discussion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Any further discussion?
Appreciate, Chip, you getting that done.
If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, that passes.
All right, the third item on the agenda is a land protection donation agreement with the Northern Waters Land Trust and Hubbard County. This is for the acquisition and donation to Hubbard County of 680 acres of conservation fund lands, formerly potlatch lands, that have been identified. I have met with all 5 of the townships that are encompassed in these parcels, and they have all agreed that this is the right way to go to acquire these lands and manage them. So it's just a process of getting this through. We're hoping that we can do a closing on these in March. Yeah, there's 680 acres of land. The parcels are all forested. They're all pine plantations in various, some have been, already received their first thinning, some have not. But they're all various stages of regrowth, so they'll all be very productive lands in the process, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
Sure.
Dave? Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None? All right, that's approved, thanks.
The last item on the agenda is a review of our timber auction we held on January 9th. We had 12 parcels, 12 tracts that were up for sale. All 12 tracts sold on the first round of bidding. Prices were down somewhat, and I guess I'm not exactly sure what reason that was. I think there's still some hesitancy about, fuel prices and timber prices at mills. We averaged $32.93 a cord on our aspen, which is almost down $5 a cord from our October auction. So we're still looking at, the 12 tracts covered 524 acres. It's $454 roughly per acre that we received for the timber on these 12 parcels. So you're still making some pretty good dollars on it, but the prices are down a little bit. So we'll have to see what, I've been watching some of the other counties, and they're holding fairly steady. So it's, I guess I'm not exactly sure why the reason ours was down, but we'll have to see what happens in our April auction, so.
Do you think there's gonna be very much salvage harvesting coming up due to, the heavy snowfall that we've had damaging, like aspen suffered quite a bit of damage?
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see, come spring, how much of that, timber has been permanently damaged. We haven't seen a whole lot. We've seen some of our pine stands kind of tipped over on the top. But as that's starting to finally shake loose now, here a couple of months later, we're not seeing any snapped off timber. We're not seeing a whole lot of stuff that's really bowed too bad. But the question is those really young stands, how they're gonna spring back. And then, we've seen a lot of damage in really young aspen. But that has been more over to the eastern part of the state, over by Pine County and Carleton County. Not seen a lot of that here, so
Okay. That's good.
hopefully not too much damage, so.
Yeah, again, some of the pines in my own woods, I've seen them already start to come back up again.
Yep.
Okay, anything else, Chip? Any more questions?
Thank you much.
Okay, thanks. Josh, we could get started on you, but we'll have to interrupt in between, because 9:30 we have the public hearing.
All right, good morning. So
So the first agenda item I have is to, let me get to the right spot here. All right, so it's for a 2023 position for solid waste. So solid waste, we budgeted for a new scale operator administrative position for 2023 and would like approval for that position.
Okay, that's already budgeted, so it's been approved.
And as we had conversations about this position over the last couple of weeks and working out the job description for it, the real reason for the change is, we've got the scale, but we haven't put the scale in operation yet, right? So the vast majority of this person's time will be operating the scale and taking that function away from the rest of the solid waste attendants who are doing that manually now, to free them up for the other duties that they have.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. We do another one?
All right, the second item I have is for, to review and approve quotes for fire cleanup at the South Transfer Station. So this will be to clean our residential side of the transfer station building as a result of the fire that we had back in December. This work has been reviewed, by MCIT. We've worked with the adjuster through MCIT, in obtaining these quotes. Cleaning would be done as soon as possible, and we'd adjust our operations to be able to clean during the day. You know, we have pretty much 2 residential lanes on that side of the building. We'd close one of them lanes down while they clean one half of the building, then close the other lane down while they clean the other half of the building. We had 3 quotes for this project. They were varied quite a bit in price, but with reviewing them with the adjuster, we feel confident in all the quotes received, so we'd recommend the low quote with Serve Pro out of Grand Rapids, Minnesota for $22,535.05.
So this is the second fire that was there?
Correct, we
Are
had 2 fires in 2022.
Okay, were the causes the same, or do you know yet?
The second fire appeared to be, the one we had in December was someone throwing hot ashes into a dumpster. So we've been trying to get that message out there that, we cannot be putting hot ashes or any ashes shouldn't be coming into any of our dumpsters. They should find an attendant, and we'll direct them, for the right place to put them. And the other fire we had back this summer, we didn't really weren't able to identify a cause. Initial thinking is possibly either, oily rags or something like that, or possibly a rechargeable battery, which also, is a leading cause of fires, so.
Are there like signage for for those who may not be thinking right on that hey, you're not supposed to put your ashes in here, or even lithium batteries that you're disposing of?
We have a lot of different signage of what's acceptable and what's not on every container. I'm sure we could add more signage, but it's how receptive people are to reading that, so.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the low quote.
It's Ted, I'll second.
any further discussion? And if not, then all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nope. I think we're at 9:30, if you don't mind taking a pause, Josh.
Sure.
So we'll go back to item number 6A. Open up the public hearing for the petition to change the name of an unnamed lake. And who's gonna talk about that? Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is a request to change the name of Unnamed Basin, 29-372-00, in, I believe, Lakeport Township. The request is to change the name to Kennedy Lake in honor of Charles Gordon Kennedy, who was U.S. Army Air Force and served in April of 1943 as a turret gunner on B-17.
Okay.
This is the second time that this has come before you. The first time the notice went to SWCD. Did I say that right? And it was also originally requested that the name of the lake be Charles Gordon Kennedy. I believe now we have the DNR here, and they've been properly notified, and the name now of the lake is Kennedy Lake.
Being a public hearing, is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay, Daryl?
If you'd like.
Sure.
Darren Hoverson with the Minnesota DNR on behalf of Pete Boulay, who oversees our lake name list, essentially. I believe you're in receipt of the letter from Melissa Kuski dated January 12, 2023, essentially affirming that Kennedy Lake would be an appropriate name for this lake. And if there's an interest in a different name, so it should be taken at this point. And following any approval resolution, submit to the DNR, and who will then submit to the U.S. Geographic Names. I believe maybe in the resolution, if you could bring that up, I think it may, I think we have sections 23 and 37. I'm not sure that that's something that's going to be, oh yeah, it's in there. Okay, so it looks like you have both, or there's 36 through 7. Okay, so I think that's probably appropriate then, just making sure it's the correct location.
Darren, do we have many of these unnamed basins?
There's actually a lot of unnamed basins out there. They're generally small in nature. Many of them still made the public water inventory as unnamed, and in many cases, there's many dozens of them in the county. The DNR gets quite a few interests in it in any given year. It's actually rare that people come forth with naming a lake, but oftentimes it's in recognition of a local individual, which many of our lakes are already named off of some of our original homesteaders and such out there as well. So fairly common, but yes, a lot of names yet, or unnamed lakes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Any more comment from the public?
So does this then become an environmental lake?
So it is classified currently by Hubbard County through its land use ordinance as a natural environment lake for planning and zoning purposes. That doesn't change. It's just strictly, so there's the number there, 029-0372. That's the official, it's called the DOW number, which is the original Division of Waters number. That's the official number, and Kennedy Lake will now be its official name.
Okay.
Or at least moving forward upon approval by DNR and the feds there, so.
How many acres was it?
I don't recall the direct acreage, but it's fairly large because it's in the Cabacona River chain, and those are essentially near like widenings of the river, even though they're large wild rice lakes or larger wild rice lakes. I think it's over 100. It doesn't feel as large as it is just because it's the river that runs through it. But that section of Kennedy Lake is actually a lake and not the river, even though you can see where the river winds through the wild rice.
Seems like the lakes that big would have had a name already, but looks like it didn't.
It's again, the history of those being considered more of a river than a basin. And because of its connection to the wild rice and that shallow nature, it was probably considered more like a shallow floodplain area, even though it made the public water inventory list in Hubbard County in, I think, 85 is when that final list was determined.
So by naming the lake, does it make the property more valuable?
I can't probably speak on that because I've never heard of it, but generally the idea is this is a formality about a name. It's a recognition, like any geographic location people can start to recognize. It could, like a road or a mountain or anything, is really what and that's why we try not to put geographic names, in particular lakes of similar naming, in close proximity, right? So there's plenty of
long and round lakes in this country. We don't need another, right, a Kennedy Lake next to another Kennedy Lake, and that's why this one will suit here.
It's easier to refer to as Kennedy Lake instead of lake number
Yes,
two,
it
nine,
is.
10.
Correct, yeah. And truthfully, in Hubbard County, there's probably over 100 unnamed lakes. And there's been interest, and yes, there's been interest out there for people to name it some locally. And there's usually got to be a reason, right, that somebody wants to bring it forward to the board, because you guys have the ultimate say, right, and resolution for your local community.
Any more questions?
I'll move to approve.
Do we have to close the public hearing?
So you have to close the public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll close the public hearing, and now we will be open for a motion.
No, I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, all in, any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. It's done.
And you do have a copy, the letter that came from, the DNR came in on Friday. And so I just forwarded you a copy of the letter that Darren talked about, so you have a copy of that. Just simply saying, giving the reasons why, the rationale why Kennedy Lake is acceptable under the parameters.
Okay, back to Josh.
All right. So the next item I have for you is 9C. So review and approve professional services agreement. So Hubbard County, on behalf of the 9 counties that are participating in our regional demolition grant study, demolition study, we're also going to be applying for a federal solid waste infrastructure for recycling grant, which is also known as a SWIFR grant, from the Environmental Protection Agency. And Stantec, our consulting and engineering company, is going to be retained to complete this grant application on behalf of our 9-county group. Stantec is the company that's completing our demolition study that we're conducting with our 9 counties, and they're also our engineering consultant that we use here in Hubbard County. The 9 counties would split the cost of this grant preparation equally, and the application would be submitted by myself on behalf of the 9-county group. So a little bit more about this grant. It's a brand-new grant that just came out in the last couple months, and initially, we didn't feel we had enough time to even be ready to submit a grant application. In the end, they ended up extending the grant deadline by a month, which gave us sufficient time to try to get a grant application prepared. The US EPA is going to be having $275 million from 2022 through 2026 for these grants that really improve infrastructure for solid waste and recycling. In 2023, combine the 2022 and 23 years, so there'll be $40 million available in funding. They're anticipating awarding 25 grants across the country, and at least one per EPA region. We think this is, more than likely going to be a very competitive grant. So I don't know if our odds will be very high, but we feel with the amount of money that we could get for our region, it's worth taking the time and putting an application together. Especially since we'd be representing 9 counties. In Minnesota, we have a very large geographical area with a lot of underserved communities in our area, which should rank fairly high within the grant process. So these grants have a minimum amount of $500,000 and a max amount of $4 million for funding in each of these grants. The $4 million there is no match requirement for this funding, so it's very enticing that way, where we don't have to have a 25 or 50 or 75% local match. And then there'd be 3 years to spend this funding. So,
Josh, I had a question on the 11,700. Is that our portion? Is that divided amongst the 9 counties, or how does that?
that's the total for preparing the grant. So each county would be contributing $1,300 for preparing this, so.
And then could you give me an example, if, say we got $4 million, what would be done in Hubbard County?
So we don't really know that for sure yet, and that's part of the reason is the grant is, has a really short timeline, and we're also working through this study, figuring out like the next 10-year plus plan for demolition landfilling. But we've been discussing, meeting with the 9 counties, more than likely I think we'd just split the grant 9 ways between the counties. And then we could use that for putting in the infrastructure. Each county would use it for putting in infrastructure for what construction and demolition landfilling is gonna look like in 10 years plus. So, our North Transfer Station has a possibility of being the regional demolition landfill. We've kind of been calling it a hub and spoke system where there'd probably be a hub on the eastern half, which could be in Hubbard, Beltrami area, and then Polk County would more than likely be the western hub. And all the other 9 counties then would haul their demolition to these 2 hubs. If let's say we end up being the hub at the north end of the county, we'd probably look at putting possibly a scale, road infrastructure, stuff like that up there. Down in Park Rapids, we could potentially do some improvements, either creating pads to store the demolition on, or doing addition or expansion to our building, or could also be putting in different containers and purchasing trucks and equipment to haul demolition. So we're kind of keeping it pretty broad in the grant application, and if we got funding, we'd really come back and narrow down the scope of it. But
And how many acres is there at the North Station for demo?
so we have an 80-acre site that we're on now, and we also have the 80 acres directly to the east of that, so it's 160 acres. And our current demo landfill is about 8 acres, so.
And how long is as it is now, how long is the current landfill up there expected to last?
We're within our last 10-year permit, and we don't currently have any, more additional capacity there within our permit. So, really, both facilities, the south and the north, we're within 7 to 10 years of being full at both facilities.
So if we were to expand to the new 80 acres and have 9 counties, potentially, or a good portion of the 9 counties delivering to there, how long would it last?
I don't think we really have that detail yet. Hauling the demolition, we've been discussing this where each facility would be maximizing recycling and reuse before they haul the demolition material out. So they'd be taking out concrete and shingles, and anything we can really recycle will be taken out at each one of the hub sites. So it'd be more just the stuff that can't be recycled would be coming to our facility.
Would it be safe to say, though, that it's not going to obviously last as long as if we were just doing it on our own?
I think with the size facility we have, we've been in an 8-acre site up there for 40 years. I'd imagine at least 40 to 50 years. I think we'd want to be out at least I think 40 to 50 years. We'd probably want to be out wherever we decide to site this, at least, so it makes sense to put the infrastructure in. So
And would it have to all be lined?
that would be the intention. Yeah, as any new demolition facility would be lined, and that would also open up opportunity to accept some additional material in there that we can't put in our demolition landfills now, like green treated lumber or packaging material on construction waste. So it would open up a few different avenues too. Whether it's in Hubbard or Beltrami or one of the surrounding counties, it just should help with our whole waste system. So anyway, my recommendation would be to approve the professional services agreement in the amount of $11,700 for Stantec Consulting services out of Fargo, North Dakota, and authorize myself to apply for this Swiffer grant on behalf of the 9-county group.
So I'm assuming, based on Char's question, then, that we're kind of the fiscal agent for this, and we'll get reimbursed from the other counties.
Yeah, I will be sending out invoices in the next week.
Yep.
So.
Okay, have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Okay, any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Nope. That's approved. One more to go?
All right, so I gotta find my right paperwork here. So, the next item I have is to approve a resolution of support, for the Polk County, 6-county group. Which is, they're also gonna be preparing pretty much the same grant application. And this would help to support the infrastructure needs of our 6-county waste group that we haul the waste and recycling into Polk County. And I believe the resolution was handed out this morning. But basically, what Polk County would be looking at doing on behalf of our 6 counties is to put improvements into the material recycling facility in Foston, which should include robots, to be able to really pull out as much material as we can and increase our recycling out of there. And then also doing work at the compost facility to make that, just do upgrades and work there. So, you know, I think it's good that our region and our groups will have 2 applications in, and hopefully we can be successful in one or possibly both of these. But again, it'd be a great benefit to our 6-county group as well for this request, and ourselves, so.
So are they still greatly understaffed at Foston?
Yeah, yes, that hasn't really improved, and they and the biggest thing is the sorting line positions, the sort line positions. They don't have people that can sort the different types of plastics, and so we're only be able to recycle number 1 and 2 plastics, you know. If we had the robots in, we might be able to recycle number 5 plastics and different types of films, and we can have a lot more marketability of the materials that they have there, so.
And then, are you getting good response for the compost?
Yeah, we've, we have over 300 residents signed up in the county. With working with our Minnesota Green Corps member this year, we've discussed ways to hopefully keep promoting that and boosting that, but I think it's been working well so far. I think we just need to kind of focus our attention on trying to grow it, continue to grow within our county, so.
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any no opposed? Okay, that is approved.
So I just need a clarification. So I use that all the time, but I didn't sign up. What do you mean you have 300?
So we have a sign-up process that you can just, that we've originally, when we kicked the program off, people would sign up and
Well, I
we
wonder if
just.
I did that way back when. Okay.
Yeah. So we just had kept track of how many people, pretty much keep track of how many
Okay.
people we have signed up, so.
It's nice that you've continued to give out the bags.
Yeah, I think
I think encourages
there's an expense, but I think it's worth it to keep the program going, so.
And it keeps a lot of things out of the garbage.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, thank you.
Okay, administrators next.
I did get an email from Mary, and Mary is fine with holding off on the letter or the resolution of support until the first meeting in February, because she has not actually gotten the date that the application is open yet. So we're not gonna be behind the 8 ball on that. The only item I had then on my administrator's report is, I talked with Rita Goodrich from McDonald Mack Architects last week, and the bid for the roof replacement on the historic courthouse is gonna be out next week, and the closing will be February 21st.
Good.
There was, I think you'll recall, we had to do a little additional structural analysis last year before we could complete the bid documents. That was all done last year, and then we kind of thought the timing is, well, let's hold it until, hopefully we're hitting the sweet spot where we actually find some roofers who are looking for work in 2023. That's still gonna be a challenge.
Yeah.
The good news is material prices have come down in the last 12 months, so I think that helps us.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder if there'd be some local bidders who would bid on it. I know.
I reached out to Mantrap Roofing, and they did not have any room in their schedule for
They're
this year.
very busy. Yep.
Yep. As a matter of fact, they're not really, I don't know how far out they're booked, but they're not taking any estimates this year either.
If we cannot find a bidder this year, that grant money, is there a time limit on having to spend that? I mean, I think there is, if I recall.
Yeah, the time limit is to spend it by June 30th of this year, and there's an opportunity for an extension
Okay.
related to circumstances. We have that. I've talked with Rita. She said there's no reason to ask for the extension until we know when the construction period is.
So I've seen a couple different places being roofed this time of year. I didn't recognize the name on the trailer, but so how will word get out? Is it just put in the paper?
We're gonna put it locally in the paper.
Yep.
But Rita is actually advertising in, let me pull it up real quick.
Because the smaller contractors might be looking for,
We got the ad today, and it'll go in the paper and run for a couple of weeks. But her advertisement is going to be in the Minnesota State Register, so it's gonna be statewide, and it'll
Okay.
be positioned in a place where people who are looking for this kind of work are looking for that work.
and this has specific things.
It does and it doesn't.
Okay.
There are some of the tin and the painting, and the detail work that makes it more than just a roofing job. We are really looking for a general contractor who has the capability to do roofing and work with others. I think it was a $237,000 grant, and we had a 10% match on that. I don't know what we're gonna get back from that, but I know that we've got enough in Bobby's construction budget to cover, I think, an overage. We're anticipating an overage off of the 2 years ago list, although that was estimated at high material costs, so maybe we'll be surprised. I do hope we get a qualified bidder. But that was all that I had.
Jonathan, did you have something?
No, you already approved mine in the consent agenda, so I was just listening.
Oh, okay,
I appreciate you asking.
okay, no problem. All right, then, does that require a tabling, or is it just off the agenda?
You could table to the next meeting if you want to make that motion.
Sure. Dave makes the motion,
I'll second.
Ted seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, okay. Go to the next meeting. So now we have committee reports. David, would you like to go first?
Mine's super short since I was gone for a little bit. Got back and had one executive heritage meeting and had a chance to meet the new director, Stephanie Fairchild, so the administrator, and pleasant to meet her, and she's fully on board and picking things up fast.
Good.
Very excited.
Feel positive about the
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Very well informed on, what she's coming into, and looks like she's got some good ideas and well organized. Mhm.
From the article, it sounds like she's got a good amount of experience
Yes.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So that's good.
The only thing I'll add to that is, and it'll come out at the board meeting next week, but they were able to let go of 3 of the traveling positions in the organization, so that will help with the bottom line.
Good.
So,
Yeah, they're expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, still struggling on census a little bit, but it's just kind of staying right where it's at for now.
Do you know how many traveling nurses are still employed?
2, I believe.
yeah, almost 2.
Oh, good, we're getting down
And
there.
so they extended the one contract just 1 month. I don't remember how long the other one, but the goal is to obviously have those all taken care of, be done with that pretty soon. That'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
And a lot more interest in employment, so that's a good thing.
Oh, and then what was the thing on the VA app?
Oh, okay, so the VA
Hang on to-
application, they're hoping to hear by April. And hoping that as they tweak it a little bit, that they will be approved by April, but it's not uncommon to have to fix things and apply 2 or 3 times. So they were turned down, and now they're on their second, just kind of cleaning up what needed to be cleaned up, so. That would help the census also, because there's not a limit to the amount that we could take for veterans, so. I know there's people that want to move here that are already in a different place.
I was contacted by one, maybe
Yeah.
you, the same person.
Yeah.
Contacted you, yeah. They'd like to stay locally.
Yep, that'd be nice for the family.
Mhm.
And just a side note too, it's the 19th, is it Thursday?
Yeah, it's
There's an open
Thursday.
house at HLDC at 3 PM.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna unveil the banner with the different entities around the county that have supported through financial donations to HLDC too.
So, 3 to 4:30 is the open house.
Yep.
I'll write it down and see if
So if you haven't been in there, that'd be a good opportunity
Yeah.
to stop in and visit, check it out.
And that's at their offices?
Yep.
Yep, right next to the fire.
Okay.
And the date was,
Thursday, 19th. Isn't it the 19th?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, 19th.
all right, any more? Okay. Char?
No, that's it.
Okay. I guess I'll go next. You don't mind being last? Okay. Just going, really. Yeah, at the MRC, I went to that meeting. Gary Johansson gave a presentation on emergency management preparedness activities. They're seeking $3 million for annually. They prefer $15 million, so each county can have a full-time person, but that's probably wishful thinking there. And then we had quite a bit of discussion on solid waste disposal. Many were very much in favor of, grinding waste and then hauling it to a place to burn, which is, with modern scrubbers and afterburners, it's a very good way to dispose of it. But now we have the state legislature wanting to come up with a zero carbon emission by 2040, and that would do away with this. So MRC and AMC are going to be very much in favor of being able to keep the burning of the waste, because AMC just recently sent out something on that, and they said, what was the percentage? 20 times more hazardous to the environment with methane gas leaking than the CO2 that's released from burning debris. So they need to rethink what they're doing. Or at least we need the AMC and MRC need to lobby to see if we can get them to rethink.
I know in Polk County with the filters and stuff that they have, they always meet the emissions.
Yeah, it's very clean. What?
Yeah.
I read yesterday in Wyoming is seeking to ban electric cars because trying to dispose of the batteries is way more hazardous than the benefit of electric
Yep.
cars.
Yeah, the ludicrousy of all that is,
Yeah.
Yeah, not only, with this.
let the
with-
market decide, we
Yep.
shouldn't have governments doing that, but, yeah, I saw that too and kinda giggled a little bit, but.
Okay, good. Well, there's a lot of discussion at this last meeting on
I
that.
bet.
Yeah, so that was one of the items. Then we talked quite a bit about THC regulation. Many of the counties are very much in favor of having county control. In other words, if we want to ban it, we can ban it. If we want to put regulations beyond the state, we can do that, so.
Are any counties moving forward with any hearings yet?
No, not yet. We might end up being the first if we.
I remember that was one of the big things that came out of that AMC conference where the folks from Colorado
Yes,
were
and
there. that
Washington, the state of Washington.
They had stated, try and at least get out in front of it a little bit and get control. So you're in control of your own destiny, kinda.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're bringing this.
Yep, and
to a
the
head.
people on MRC are very much in favor of controlling their own destiny, county control on it, local control. Then the next item, there was a good amount of talking on bonding bill, you know, what should go into there. And one guy brought up that was a really good idea, is maybe one item that could be in the bonding bill is an inflation adjustment for things that have already been approved. Because, you know,
Well, that the state
The state-
mandated things?
well, the state, you know, maybe something that was already in a bonding bill. And, you know, well, you take the tunnel for our,
Yep.
you know, that's gonna be more than the 2 million that was already approved. So have an adjustment in the next bonding bill to make up for the difference in price. So that would help a lot on that. Oh, yeah, then I got the next meeting is in St. Paul, February 21st. If anybody else would like to do that, it's possible I could go to that. I have a flight leaving to go to Florida the 22nd. We were planning on spending the night anyway, the 21st, and then catching that flight the next day. I could go to that meeting on the 21st if
I think I'm
necessary.
scheduled to be down there.
Are you,
Yeah.
would you like to go instead?
I'll probably go to the MRC one.
Okay.
I think I
You
can do
you
that.
take my place
That
on that one.
depends.
And
I'll
is
try
it gonna
to.
be Zoomed? I could think about going to.
It didn't say Zoom on their pamphlet that they had. That's why I was wondering.
It's 5 to 7:30. Did we have to have a reservation in for the hotel?
Reserved by January 24. So if you have reservations to make or confirm or check, Denise would be able to help you with that
Okay.
after the meeting.
Okay, I'll let Dave, you wanna take my place in that?
I'll try to make that. I can probably at
You
least
can't
make the
let me know,
beginning
'cause
of it.
I'll be down there, but I
Okay.
prefer to,
Yeah.
be a little more flexible with my time and getting there, and then, because I got that flight the next day. But I'll go if you can't go.
Okay. So I can't remember if that was the night I was looking at other plans or not. It is. So it
Yeah.
might not work. We'll talk when it gets closer.
Okay. A couple more other things that I had, the Mental Health Board, LAC, we met last Wednesday, and, you know, they read the articles about the housing over there, and of course, you know, they have some legitimate items about low-income housing. You know, there's places where they're staying, but they're having maintenance issues. You know, it's all privately owned. A lot of them pay percentage, 33% of their income, that's how much rent that they pay, so theirs is based on the amount of rent. And one of the things they brought up, you know, like, the heat's really high, so they have to open up the windows in the middle of the winter, and so it's just, you know, it's an unmet need that they have. Of course, felt sympathy, but I didn't know how to address it, because I just thought I'd bring it up here, because they brought it up at the meeting.
Someone just shared with me they were living in a D.W. Jones housing unit and talked about how wonderfully that was run.
Okay.
So it must depend on,
It just depends where they're at, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's appropriate to say which one, probably better not. Okay, SWCD, there's the grazing workshop, February 15th. Probably gonna be in Guthrie, depends on how many are going. They can fit about 100 people there.
It's on the 15th.
15th, yes, if that's up in your area. But, you know, if anybody wants to go to that. And then, the Leech River, One Water Said One Plan, everybody got the email? Okay, just so you were at. They did, you know, you probably saw in there that they were, behind 500-some thousand, but then they did get the grant in November for the phase 2. So that didn't show up in there. And, that's about all I have. Ted?
Okay. I've just got a couple, got Healthy Hubbard County 2030. Of course, COVID is still around, 36 cases in Hubbard County through January 1st through January 11th. Total deaths that they attribute to COVID in Hubbard County was 69 total through the pandemic here. Family home visiting update. Amy presented on the family home visiting program. They discussed the current caseloads and new grant funding that starts at the first of this year. The community health update, WIC continues virtually with the continuation of the public health emergency. They did offer some in-person appointments, but most clients are choosing to be contacted by phone. An update on the University of Minnesota Department of Health cost and capacity assessment. Marley is on the statewide cost and capacity advisory group, which is reviewing the findings and information. She'll bring that forward at the next group meeting. The next workshop, Wellness Collaborative through SHIP, starts this month with participants from Beltrami, Clearwater, and Hubbard counties. Let's see, they highlighted the foot care clinic, which was held 3 times a month at 3 locations. That's where mostly for the elderly people, they come in and trim their toenails and stuff like that. Takes a special kind of person to do that, and I'm not one of them. And something then that Ben Kopelman, head of the St. Joseph's there, shared that Essentia Health is ending their coverage of OBs, of birthing. The last baby born in Hubbard County was on the 1st of this year. Currently, St. Joseph is not delivering babies. However, work is underway to open CHI St. Joseph's OB clinic and resume hospital deliveries. This clinic would provide also primary care. They're currently recruiting providers for the clinic and will share more details when they are available. So I was kind of surprised to see that.
Is it staffing, or why are they discontinuing?
Staffing, as I recall, Ben said that in the past it's been 3 midwives delivering babies here in Park Rapids. Currently, they're referring them to Detroit Lakes because that's closer, but Detroit Lakes and Bemidji is also still delivering babies. I just kind of found that was surprising that here in Park Rapids, they don't have that service. Of course, I did ask, what if all of a sudden a woman comes into the emergency room when she's in labor? You know, they said they'd find a way to get it done. But, so that's all I had for Healthy Hubbard County. Then also had the HRDC held a small cities Zoom meeting. This meeting, they talked about broadband and the funding that's available. They talked about, as far as Hubbard County, we talked about the unserved or underserved areas, and there's some information I'm gonna share with Jeff. I think he might already have it on some of the grants that are available. Sounds like between the feds and the state, they wanna just fund all this stuff, and we might as well get on board and get that taken care of too. And those were the only 2 I had.
Do we have much of a role to even play in that? Or is that just between the utilities and the state?
We can apply for the grants, is my understanding.
We can apply for the grant funding, and if we have enough grant funding, when we were talking about using ARPA dollars, and we were talking about throwing even $500,000 or $750,000 towards it, neither of the primary suppliers were terribly interested because that just wasn't big enough to change their implementation plan or schedule. We are working with a federal project to identify and verify the services within our county. Jack down in GIS is working on that. I got him access to layers, so we have that information and data, and that would probably be what we would need to use to apply for funding. Truth of the matter is, I don't think it's gonna change the implementation schedule of the people that are delivering broadband in our county terribly much, although we should probably look and have a dollar amount, and it's time to touch base and have a conversation with them again.
That would be my concern. We could, apply for some funding, but then if we don't have a local utility that's willing to put the infrastructure in, because there's not enough people that they're gonna serve with it to justify doing it, then we're just sitting there.
Yeah,
nothing ventured, nothing gained. I guess you turn the money back if you can't get somebody to do the work.
Yeah, and hopefully if there was enough funding, like you're saying, to provide the service, then at least the companies don't have that financial outlay.
Right.
So then they've just got the profit from the.
Yeah, the amount of grant would have to be enough to make it worth their while.
Yeah, and it sounds like though that there's a lot of money available through the feds and through the state.
That's kind of the problem when you just have little pockets all over the place, you know, and only certain utilities can serve certain areas.
Yeah.
It makes it a little more difficult.
I think about like Highway 64, I mean, there's a lot of nothing as far as residents and stuff on that stretch of highway, and yet the handful of people that live there would probably like to have internet service. But how would they ever achieve that?
Yeah.
Sure notes now.
Hey, meetings to note, there's the department head meeting.
Department head meeting is on the
31st?
31st.
And who's gonna be the alternate? Or not the alternate, but the additional one?
Should we just reset the rotation,
Sure.
start with chair and vice chair?
Okay,
Oh,
Sarah?
okay, do you want me to come?
First
Sure.
meeting?
Okay, I'll come.
I was just at the last one.
Yeah, so was I. I'll be at this one. Okay, any other business?
Just a reminder that the Township Association meeting is on the 30th in the boardroom at 7 o'clock.
And you're going to be going?
I'm gonna be going.
So I gotta take my wife to an appointment in Fargo, and we might be back in time, but, I don't wanna count on it.
It's, I think we're also gonna Zoom it. I gave a Zoom link to, so they're gonna make it available for people to participate that way. We'll be hosting that way, so. That should have come out in the latest invitation from Theora.
Okay. If there's not anything else, then, we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I will second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
So Tom, did you get my email forwarded to you about the US?
Yes.